Hey, and welcome to Leadershipisation, all things leadership. I'm Beth Bergen and I'm a global life and communication coach. I work with individuals like executives, with managers, with business owners, and I also work with their teams, and it's all about developing those self-leadership, those leadership skills, and that communication that is required to make you a real success in all areas of your life. I'm here most Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is 2 p.m. Sydney time at the moment because they're on daylight saving. Now, it's actually 11 a.m. or just past 11 a.m. for me here in Bali, which is where I'm coming to you from today. You know, the last few weeks, we've talked a lot about active listening. We've talked about setting boundaries, and it's my intention to continue to share some more information about setting boundaries with you. But today, what I wanted to do was to talk about why I'm in Bali and what my goal in being here is. My goal is reflection. Look, I don't know about you, but I had a really busy last quarter to 2024 where I was doing a lot of consulting work. It was a lot of heavy work on very large projects that were really important to my client. And on top of that, I was doing my coaching, working individually with my clients, and I was also leading my life. So by the end of the year, I was just bone tired. And then, of course, Christmas and New Year hit. And so it was important for me to make a decision. I could easily have just slid into 2025 because, you know, we kind of blink and it's here. But what I knew was that I would still be tired and I would be trying to lead my clients into 2025. I would be trying to help them with their self-leadership, help them with new behaviours, with setting boundaries. And I would be wanting to do that with a lot of energy because that's what I bring to my coaching on a regular basis anyway. So some self-reflection back home in Australia helped me to identify that I knew that I wouldn't be able to do my best and to give my clients what they deserve without that downtime, without that need to take a pause, without that time to ground myself again. And so, what I sort of thought was it's essential to reflect and it just needs to be me. So initially that felt a little bit selfish because it's not something that I've regularly done before. I'm really good with self-care, but I don't necessarily say to everybody else in my life, step back, I'm just going to go and do me for a bit. And then I realized that it was essential because if I did not take this time, then there was the potential that I could burn out. And so this was all about preventing burnout because that's not going to help anybody in my life. Not going to help me if I burn out. So I embraced it, I booked, and here I am. Now, not all about lazy days on the beach. It's not all about shopping. It's not all about cocktails at sunset. I'm here for a purpose, and I'm here to think, to deep dive, to do this reflection so that what I can do is put myself in the best possible position for 2025 in all areas of my life. So what does that self-reflection do? Well, it's lifting my self-awareness. It's really helping me to identify areas for improvement or areas for change. And it helps to give me a greater understanding of me. And these are all the things that you would be able to get out of self-reflection as well. So it's about helping to make sense of things, potentially creating breakthroughs because you've stopped for long enough to actually look at what is it that's fueling you, what's driving you, or just as openly what might be holding you back. So what I love about self-reflection is that it helps me to challenge my thoughts, and I find that it's that real driver for change. Or I'm just I've just got to pause for a minute. Like, what I'm really aware of is that I'm holding everything up in my hotel suite with a rubbish bin that's sitting behind. If everything suddenly disappears, just wait there and I'll put it all back to where it all goes. And we'll continue on with a lot of laughter. The other thing that I think that I know that self-reflection builds is it helps me, and I know it will help you to live with more intention. So it really brings that perspective. You know, what are the things that are important to me? What are the things that I want to be doing that will help me to be the best version of me? It's also a great self-leadership skill, and that's what we've been talking about over these last few weeks in Leadershipisation is what is it that helps us to be the best possible leader? What is it that gives us a leadership intelligence, I was calling it. So, you know, it's all about focusing the attention on me. And you would do exactly the same thing with self-reflection. Focus it on you, examining my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my motivations, and what my intentions are. Now, this can be a little bit close to the bone, so I'm not suggesting that it's being completely comfortable, because if you're being really honest with yourself, it can be a little close to the bone. It can make you pause and kind of go in a little bit deeper. It is supposed to take you outside your comfort zone. But what I love is that it informs my self-development and it helps me to really align to what my core values are. And I know that after periods of self-reflection like this, not only am I more grounded, not only am I ready to face the year with a whole lot of courage, with a whole lot of confidence, and with a whole lot of really serious intention, but it also helps me to make better decisions because I'm coming from a really deep place, a place that's important and that aligns with me. I would also find that self-reflection helps me to hold myself a little bit accountable, and it opens me up for my next level of growth. So as a coach, it's important to me that I have coaches. And so this process is helping me to kind of identify what it is that I might need in the next coach that I'm seeking. So yeah, it's been a really refreshing and invigorating process, and I'm not finished. I'm only partway through it. So I'll share with you in a moment some of the questions that I've been asking myself. But I wanted to let you know first, before we move on to that, what self-reflection isn't. Because it's really easy to get caught up in that. It's not about ruminating and overthinking everything. It's not about self-criticism or self-judgment. It's not about me comparing myself with what everybody else might be doing. And it's not about feeding into negative self-talk. What's important is that it comes from a point that's neutral. It comes from a point that's non-judgmental, where you see what has happened for what it is, rather than seeing it from the point of, oh, I really mucked that up, didn't I? It's non-judgmental. And for this is the bit that is likely to make you most uncomfortable, because you're shifting away from loading up that blame on yourself, and you're shifting to observing your behavior and thinking about it from that neutral, non-judgmental perspective. So it's all about asking open-ended questions. Now, I want to give you a place to start that you might be able to use on a daily or a weekly basis. So I've got 4 simple questions here that you can start with. And then what we'll do is go a little bit deeper. Now, I'm conscious that we might go a little bit longer today. However, I think that's really important that we stay on track here. Thank you for joining us today, Dre. I love it that you're here. So let's have a look at these 4 questions. The first one is to ask yourself, and this is a daily basis, but it can also be used weekly, is to ask yourself, what went well today? If you don't like the term what went well, then think about what worked. What worked today? So you might want to write these down. What worked today? The second one is this: what didn't go well today? Or what didn't work today? Now, remember that these don't have to be huge things, but neither do you have to be nitpicky and finding 10 little things that didn't go well. The third question is, what could I do differently? Now, this is just 1 or 2 things. What could I do differently? And the final question is, what did I learn? Now, it's what did I learn that I find is a really powerful question, because it's all about informing the way that you're going to do it the next time. What could you do differently? But also, what did I learn? I learned that I can take a different approach to this. I learned that I'm building my skills. There are all sorts of things that you'll learn. Now, if you're someone who's interested in going deeper, and these are the kinds of questions that I'm looking at the present time, then here are a couple of great suggestions for you. The first one is, what's the most important thing to me? What's the most important thing to me? Now, a great thing to be aware of is that in order for you to get closer to the truth, closer to where your heart is in these things, it's a really good idea for you to use a coaching skill, which is to ask yourself, after you've given that first response, to ask yourself, and what else? And just sit on it for a bit. And when you come up with that second thing, ask yourself again, and what else? And do that 4 or 5 times, because each time you're getting closer, you're peeling the layers back and you're getting a little closer to what the truth is for you. Now here, with this question, what we're looking at is, what are the priorities for you? Is it the money? Is it the health? Is it the relationships? Is it that you want to have abundance in your life? You want to have joy in your life? You want to have laughter in your life? Is it family? What's the most important thing to you? Now, it doesn't have to be just one thing, but it's, what is the most important thing? And you'll find that as you put your ideas down on paper, you go away and you come back and there's something else that you can add to it, which is really awesome. It doesn't have to be done in one sitting. The second question, that's a really important one, is this one. How do I measure success in life? What does success in life look like for you? Is it only work-focused? Is it only fun-focused? Is it only about the money? Is it only about the people? Is it only, how do you measure success in life? Now, these are big questions. They're going to take you deeper. And what else is the question that you're going to ask yourself over and over? And what else? And what I find is that the longer I sit and ponder these things, the more ideas go onto my piece of paper. I have one sheet of paper or one page in a big spiral notebook for each of the questions, and the page next to it is blank, so I can go there if I wish to. And what I find is that quite often your responses can be consolidated into 1 or 2 keywords. Or 1 or 2 key phrases, rather than being a whole lot of separate things. But that's something that you'll discover for yourself. The third and final one, and this is another one that I'm working on, is this one. How do I want to show up? in 2025? How do I want to show up in 2025? So, what are the qualities? What are the behaviors? How do I want to show up in my relationships? How do I want to show up for me? How do I want to show up for my team, my clients, for my business? How do I want to show up? And often people say to me, how do I answer this question? It's a good idea to sort of think about those people that you do admire and to think, what are their behaviors? What are their qualities? What traits do they have that I admire? And to sort of look at those and think about how they relate to you. And then to think about people that you don't admire so much. Think about people that you go, oh, I'm not enamored with them. I don't like when they appear to be greedy all the time. I don't like it when they talk down to people. And that then gives you some kind of guidance about what maybe you're not going to be doing. Okay? So there are three really big ones. As I said earlier, the important thing is to ask an open-ended question and then to be prepared to sit with it and just ponder on it. So do that without distraction for a period of time, but then get about doing your day. Go for a walk, go for a run, do some other things, but set the intention to answer that question in your mind and be prepared to ask yourself all the time, and what else? Now, obviously, I'm here in Bali, so I've been doing lots of reflecting when I'm out and about. And because I am a committed people watcher, I just love watching people. And I am so surprised at how many people have no idea how much they give away with their body language. And I love this. I can sit and just be watching what people are doing. I'm reflecting on the cultural differences, the things that are important to some people, to some cultures they're just not even on the radar of other cultures. I'm observing how so many of us now are using our phones as a self-protection, as a barrier almost. Well, if I'm so important that I'm on my phone, which means that I don't need to be connecting with the people around me. And I actually find that kind of sad, because as someone who is traveling by myself, I'm wanting to connect with people. I'm wanting to have conversations, not just with the staff, but also with other travelers. And yet that phone is there, and it serves as a real barrier for that opening of communication. Because, I'm playing on it, I'm looking really important. I'm interested in and noticing and reflecting on what it is, the different things that people eat, but also how people eat. Like, some people just shovel it in. Other people are very relaxed about the way that they eat, and all the different things that people are eating. And I'm also really aware, when I go out for a walk on the streets here, I'm really aware that we've had this, we've probably heard this, but we don't understand it in the same way that I think a lot of other cultures understand it. And that is, if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you want something, if you want your team member to do something, if you want, if you're looking for more in a relationship, if you're looking for more from yourself, if you want something, if you don't ask, you don't get. I can't tell you how many times when I go out for a walk, someone stops and just, ma'am, and no, thank you, I don't need a ride on the back of your scooter. But, lovely for you to ask me. And so you get used to actually dealing with that. But if you don't ask, you don't get. I'm also reflecting on the fact that communication is always possible. It doesn't matter if there is cultural differences, that communication will always matter. And also, finally, that thank you and a smile, it goes a long way. It really goes a long way. And, you know, people are excited to see you again. When you go back to the same place, they're excited to see you. I am having so much fun getting wonderful 2-hour massages, which are gloriously cheap here compared to how much they are in Australia. So I'm taking huge advantage of it. So what I've got, so that kind of sums it all up, and I'm on this journey, and you know, the benefit of that will be reflected in the way that I approach 2025. So next week, really, you know, looking to do some different things. I've got another online course that I'm looking to develop and finalise, and I'll record that early in January, which is all around self-leadership. But I also have an 8-week leadership and communication accelerator that it's my intention to really hit hard with in January, because I know that if what I can do is use my skills and my experience through things like self-reflection and through the practices that I have, if I can use that to develop leaders in the workplace, then you know, it will make a huge difference to how we connect with each other as human beings and to people's quality of life. So I've got those things happening. I also have for you a reflection calendar as a gift. So this has got some reflection questions for you that you can use daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, and that provides a framework for you. But come back to those open-ended questions and just thinking, what are some really good open-ended questions that I could ask myself. Another really good one that I'll just drop on you now is, you know, what is it that I'm avoiding here? What am I avoiding here? I'd really urge you to dedicate some time for reflection. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to, you know, take a week out and go overseas, but dedicate that time because it will make a real difference. Thank you so much for watching today. If you've got any questions or comments, please put them on the platform that you're watching this on, and I'll get back to you with a response. If you're watching a replay, #replay would be awesome. It's great for me to see that people are watching. If I can support you with leadership, with self-leadership, with some reflection questions, or with developing your communication skills, please reach out to me. In the meantime, I will see you next week. Bye now from Bali.